In 2025, India will have complete control over Sur Creek. This bold statement from India's Defence Minister recently turned heads, shining a spotlight on a long-simmering border dispute. But what is Sur Creek, and why is this 96-kilometre sliver of water so important? Let's take a look. Here, nestled between Gujarat in India and the Sindh province in Pakistan, is a tidal estuary in the marshlands of the Rann of Kutch. On the surface, it looks like an uninhabited, marshy strip of water. Yet, for over 70 years, it has been one of the most persistent and sensitive disputes between these two nuclear-armed neighbours. How did a seemingly insignificant creek become a major point of contention, rich with strategic value and fraught with military tension? Let's dive into the murky waters of the Sur Creek dispute. To understand this conflict, we need to travel back in time, all the way to the British Raj. Before the partition of India, this area was a local boundary between the princely state of Kutch and the Sindh division. Both under British administration, the problem started with a document from 1914, a resolution passed by the Bombay government. This resolution, and two key paragraphs within it, are the heart of the entire disagreement. India's argument rests on paragraph 10 of that resolution. It refers to the boundary lying in the centre of the navigable channel. This is a well-established international principle known as the Thalweg Doctrine, which dictates that when a river or estuary forms a boundary, the line runs down the middle of the main navigable channel. Based on this, India claims the boundary should be right down the centre of Sur Creek, splitting it equally between the two countries. But Pakistan has a completely different reading of the same document. They point to paragraph 9 and an accompanying map. This map, they argue, shows a green line that clearly places the boundary on the eastern bank of the creek. If Pakistan's interpretation is accepted, the entire creek, from bank to bank, would belong to them, with the border lying on the Indian side of the water. So you have two countries, referencing the same colonial-era resolution, arriving at two completely different conclusions. One wants to split the creek down the middle, the other wants the entire waterway. This fundamental disagreement set the stage for decades of conflict. Fast forward to 1947. With the partition of the subcontinent, the princely state of Kutch acceded to India, and the province of Sindh became part of the newly created Pakistan. What was once an internal administrative boundary suddenly transformed into a volatile international border. The dispute over the larger Rann of Kutch region escalated, leading to military clashes in 1965. This prompted the intervention of a United Nations tribunal in 1968. The tribunal was tasked with resolving the border dispute in the Rann of Kutch. In its final verdict, it awarded about 90% of the disputed territory to India, with the remaining 10% going to Pakistan. Both countries accepted the ruling. However, there was a critical omission. The tribunal explicitly stated that its mandate did not cover the dispute over Sur Creek itself. The final stretch of the boundary, the part running through the creek and out to the sea, was left deliberately undefined and unresolved. So, while the land border was mostly settled, the maritime end of it was left as an open question, a ticking clock for future disagreements. So, why all this fuss over a marshy creek? The answer lies not in the creek itself, but in what it controls. The stakes are immense, both economically and strategically. First, the economic resources. This region is believed to be rich in untapped oil and gas reserves for two energy-hungry nations. Securing control over potential hydrocarbon deposits is a massive economic prize. Furthermore, the creek opens into the Arabian Sea, an area that is one of Asia's largest and most fertile fishing grounds. Control of the creek means control over a vital source of livelihood for thousands of fishermen. and a significant contributor to the national economy. But the even bigger issue is how the creek impacts maritime boundaries. According to international law, specifically the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea, a country's maritime zones, like its territorial sea and its exclusive economic zone, or EEZ, are drawn starting from its coastal baseline. The final demarcation of the Sur Creek boundary determines the exact starting point of the India-Pakistan maritime border. A shift of just a few hundred meters in the creek can translate into a gain or loss of hundreds, or even thousands, of square kilometers of sea territory. This isn't just about water. It's about claiming a vast, resource-rich slice of the Arabian Sea. Given these high stakes, it's no surprise that the unresolved border has led to military tension and tragic incidents. The most prominent of these was the 1999 Atlantique incident. During the Kargil War, the Indian Air Force shot down a Pakistani Navy reconnaissance aircraft, claiming it had violated Indian airspace near Sur Creek. Pakistan contested this, stating the aircraft was in its own airspace. The incident highlighted just how dangerous an ill-defined border can be. In recent years, the area has seen increasing militarization. After the 2008 Mumbai attacks, which were carried out by terrorists who travelled by sea, India significantly ramped up its coastal security, especially in sensitive areas like Sur Creek. Both sides have bolstered their presence. Pakistan has reportedly constructed new observation posts and bunkers, while India has enhanced its patrolling with all-terrain vehicles and hovercrafts. This build-up turns the fragile marshland into a potential flashpoint. Beyond the military posturing, there's a profound human cost. Fishermen from both India and Pakistan, who have sailed these waters for generations, often find themselves in peril. In the absence of a clearly marked boundary on the water, they can unintentionally drift across the perceived line. The consequences are severe. Their boats and catch are confiscated, and they are arrested and often imprisoned for months or even years. Hundreds of fishermen are currently languishing in jails on both sides, pawns in a geopolitical game they never intended to play. Their plight is a constant, heartbreaking reminder of the real-world impact of this unresolved dispute. So, where do things stand today? In a stalemate. Over the decades, India and Pakistan have held numerous rounds of talks to resolve the Sur Creek issue, with the last major dialogue taking place back in 2007. Since then, the process has been frozen. Their fundamental approaches remain at odds. India has consistently maintained that the dispute should be resolved bilaterally through direct negotiations. Pakistan, on the other hand, has suggested taking the matter to international arbitration, much like the 1968 tribunal. Ultimately, Sur Creek is more than just a line on a map. It's a complex legacy of colonial cartography, a strategic choke point rich with resources, and a source of ongoing military tension. This 96-kilometre estuary serves as a powerful symbol of the deep-rooted distrust that continues to define relations between India and Pakistan, a historical wound that continues to shape the geopolitics of modern South Asia. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this explanation helpful, please hit that like button and consider subscribing for more deep dives into complex geopolitical issues. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. See you in the next video.